Peace be upon you. I am here with a family friend, a relative. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Yusuf. I am the family friend or relative. Um, what am I supposed to say?
I don't even know. We've known you since you were yay tall.
Now I'm a graduating college student. So,
Yes. So I didn't know if you to say if you were from Texas, in the East Coast.
It's all over.
Yeah, we used to hang out in Ohio and.
Yeah, legally I'm from Texas, but I'm all over the place.
So go ahead, Kaiser. What's going on with you?
Nothing much. Alhamdulillah. It's a Saturday morning. Good to see you, Yusuf. I wish I was there in Chicago with you guys, but yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So actually, as you could tell by the title, we've learned that Yusuf is actually a bit of an otaku, would you say?
No, I would not say that. Sorry. I like anime. I'm not that far.
What does that even mean? I think he was even defining to me, like I just said, I know shonen anime is like Shonen Jump, like Naruto and like One Piece, and
there's a lot of other genres. I was mentioning shoujo, which is the opposite, which is like the
girls,
the girl version,
or girls, but it's like girl focused. Like,
yeah,
usually romance anime and things like that, slice of life.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Kaz.
Yeah, no, I think the cool thing about anime, and I get asked that question all the time, like what's the difference between anime and like a cartoon? And one of the major differences is the narratives behind them. Cartoons in like Western culture or in like America and Europe, they were generally seen as like ways of entertaining children, versus anime has a very different trajectory. The target audience from the very get-go was actually young adults. And that changed the themes, that changed the style that it is even drawn in, looks very different than the typical quote unquote cartoon. Even though there are overlap, they're both animation, but the actual, like the narrative behind an anime and the narrative behind a cartoon are extremely, extremely different.
That's true. And we were actually just talking about Cowboy Bebop right here.
Yeah.
And about how I consider that like the whole scale of anime. And like 25 episodes, and it's the opposite of shonen, because shonen is like about kids going through like their 20s or teen years, and well, Cowboy Bebop was about people like in their 30s and 40s reflecting back, or just a little bit more mature without like being like raunchy or gruesome or gory, and just more like themes of moving on and things like that.
Yeah, and I think it's just a different perspective of even storytelling and narrative that's found within them, versus like a cartoon generally doesn't have a cohesive storyline associated with it. Like it was meant to be one-offs. Animes are rarely that way, even though Cowboy Bebop is a general exception to that rule, where like it seems to be a bunch of random episodes, but they are tied together in like these deep themes.
So while Yusuf is here, since he's our special guest of the day, what are your top two or three anime?
Oh yikes! I don't like making favorites because I like a lot of them. Mm-hmm. There's one called Violet Evergarden. I like that one a lot. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's like a 12-13 episode anime about a girl who was trained for being a soldier, and she loses her arms and gets like without arms, but she spends the 12 episodes learning what emotions are, human, just how to be human basically. Through a letter writing company. She has to write letters for people, and she has to understand people through that. So that's one of my favorites. Another one that I love is Haikyuu, which is a classic shonen volleyball anime. And I've rewatched that like every semester since I came to college, and it keeps me very interested in volleyball. That's the only sport I'm good at now because I watch a lot of the anime.
So first of all, I would say I have not maybe consumed not even a dozen anime yet. So I have a top 3, maybe a top 5, but how many would you say? How many series have you watched?
Well, I have a list. I've watched more than like 30 or 40. I went through quite a few niche animes before.
What about
and
you,
the long ones too, like
what about you, Kaiser? Stuff.
Probably somewhere in the 20s, maybe hitting 30, but I don't think I've gotten much farther than that.
Yeah, we had to get Hafiz Dr. Hassan on here. He has a big number 2.
Yeah.
But I actually want to talk about when we were younger, you were really into Naruto.
Still am.
I never finished Naruto. Kaiser, did you finish Naruto?
So I started reading it as soon as Shippuden started. So I never watched Shippuden. I only watched the original with you guys actually, and then once Shippuden started, I just read the manga, and if there was ever a fight I liked or like a really emotional moment, then I'd go back and watch the anime after it came.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I'm sorry, or my brother, he's finishing Shippuden right now. Like he watched all of it this entire year. And he's getting through all these fights and stuff, and he keeps reminding me of them. So I go back on YouTube to rewatch them, and it's making me want to rewatch it. But I'm not going through another 720 episodes to get through it. So, yeah.
I loved growing up on shonens, but don't have the time for them nearly much anymore. Though the only I have been watching Boruto actually. We're really behind. We're like literally a year or so behind, but I like it because it's got an element of like parenting in it, and I'm a parent now. And there's like analogies of like if Naruto was city kids, Boruto is suburban kids.
Yeah.
So I actually want, but thing is now that we're Professor and I are married and we have kids, I don't like, for example, we're talking about dub versus sub. I know, for example, my older sister, Appa, she's very much for dub, and Yousuf shares that same.
Yeah, hardcore
dub.
No, sub, not dub. No way.
Can you explain that to anybody who, first of all, anime? I think a lot of times from my generation, people are like, "Oh yeah, so you must watch Dragon Ball Z." I've never seen an episode of Dragon Ball Z. I got into an anime because of Naruto over binge watching it summer, and a few summers later, we got you into it.
Yeah, never stopped since.
Were you salty when we got like Raving Rabbids instead of your Avatar game on the Wii?
Oh, for real?
Nintendo Wii?
We played that game a lot, so I don't know. I don't remember if I was. But...
You know why? Because my nephew right now and my son Yousuf, they're watching Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix, and now he's watching Legend of Korra.
Yeah. And
I started it years ago. I never finished it. Just like Naruto, I watched Shippuden and I never finished it. But now I don't want to watch it until maybe my spouse watches it with me, or I watch it with my kids, because I like dub because I like to do art or do something else as I'm watching it. And like you were mentioning that you game as you watch.
Oh yeah. Before it was kind of like I would do other things while I watch TV and things like that, like play games or read something or something on the side. But I really appreciate the original language and emotion that comes out of watching it in Japanese. And it's the same sentiment that goes to like right now it's like K-dramas or a lot of other Asian films like what is it? Train to Busan, which got like a bunch of really high praise, and now they're trying to make it into an English film, and it's like
that's a movie, right? It's a movie. Yeah, it's a zombie movie.
I haven't seen it yet. Or Parasite's a really big one that became popular.
That's a Korean thing. Yeah.
You can't do the same thing in English or in any like Western culture, and you kind of lose the values that they implant, and the way they say things is completely different. They overemphasize it in English to try to match the energy, but it's a different language and culture that makes it like really weird to listen to in English. So I'm not for dubbed at all.
Yousuf, that exact sentiment though, and I have to hop off in just a few minutes, but I want to share, and one of the reasons why animation or anime in general can accomplish way more, in my opinion, than any live action is because, so like you were saying, dub versus sub. In the sub, you get the actual intent of the director oftentimes of like, this is the language this was written in, so the emotions are captured. We can actually say the same thing about the visual medium. One of the reasons I love animation is the character design was made for that plot. And I think a classic thing that we don't really emphasize too much is things like how your face looks is a narrative of your entire history, right? So when you get an actor playing a role, that actor has their own life that they came in with, that actually structured their face. But when someone drew a face on, literally, I'll show like a small snippet of it. And I think a great example of this will be like Disney movies like The Lion King. The difference between Simba and Mufasa are actually the eyebrows. And one of the reasons are because as you become more commanding, this arch of your eyebrow starts actually going up. And you actually see Simba's transformation take place as he's going from like a lion cub. And actually there's a major scene in the movie in which they slant inward, and suddenly that becomes his face moving forward because he becomes more like Mufasa. That's something you can never capture in a live action movie. But you can capture in things like anime because literally you have control of the visual medium, the auditory medium, all of that is all built into one. So it leads to so much better storytelling than oftentimes live action can. So that's why like animation can do something, I think, that live action can really never do as well. And I think the same thing can be said about why subs are superior at the end of the day to dubs, though there are certain dubs that do a good job.
I've
I
heard,
mean,
yeah.
we start not to knock on the English, but literally the translation is never the same. Just like when it comes to the Quran, the original Arabic, anybody who's bilingual can tell you there's certain things that don't translate well. Appa, our sister Fesha, was explaining to us that like in dub in Japanese, it takes a lot more mouth movements to say something, like arigato, konnichiwa, or whatever, right? The mouth movements, and then when they again, like whatever they say, right? But in English, then they have to literally they try to translate it. In English, it's just like, hi, thank you, right? They add like something like believe it, or that's by all, or
They're the worst possible. Yeah.
or something. So like translations are like they're never the same as the original. So that's why they're in like the enthusiasm and the script, because they literally just read the translation.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can see it on Netflix on the bottom, or you can see it when you turn on captions that like the voice actors they change stuff just to match the mouth movements or something like that.
Yeah, it is a handicapped medium at the end of it. So I understand doing something else while watching, but I'm with Yousuf on Team Sub here.
Yeah.
Actually, before you go, what are your top couple of anime that you?
It changes depending on kind of what I'm going for, but I'm a real big fan of like the hero's quest type thing, like Full Metal Alchemist. Brotherhood ends up being like really high on my list. I'm really enjoying My Hero Academia at the moment.
Oh, it's amazing.
I'm watching that right now with my wife, and
My Hero keeps getting better. Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's the style that I'm really into at the moment. But I can see the appeal of different.
Oh, if you like to get on Jujutsu Kaisen.
I've heard it's really good.
The last episode of the season's coming out, but it's like Naruto without any of the flaws right now. Like it's very, very good.
That sounds pretty awesome. Well, I'm gonna have to check it out. I got to get to my next meeting. Salaam alaikum. Always a pleasure seeing you.
So yes, we're gonna continue on. Just another couple minutes. So Icer's picks, I guess, would be Full Metal Alchemist, which I have actually seen all of it, except for Brotherhood. I have to finish Brotherhood.
Brotherhood's where the hype's at. No. The original is there, but the Brotherhood, when they remade it and revamped it and cleaned up all the flaws of the original.
So what happened with this is basically they were making Full Metal Alchemist. They caught up with the manga, so then the English show just finished up the show, right? Is that what happened?
I'm not exactly sure how it's set up. I never watched the original one. I
finished the original one, which is shorter.
But I watched all of Brotherhood, and I've heard things about it just being better than the original because it cuts out a lot of things. I mean, the manga also kind of limits what they put in compared to the anime, because manga puts a lot of emphasis on each slide, each page, and things like that, while anime tries to fill in those gaps to make it one single motion. So there's additions to that, right? So I feel like the original was trying to create it very was true to the manga in a way, and they lose out on the things that they added in Brotherhood that which popularly just became more popular.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say, if anyone's watching, I would say Full Metal Alchemist is a great anime to start anime.
I personally disagree. Not gonna lie.
Well, what would you say?
A lot of people love Full Metal Alchemist, and I give it for what it is. I think it's overhyped.
Why so?
It is a classic shonen anime. There's a lot of emotion and things like that, but you kind of have to gauge on who your audience is and how they're perceiving what they're taking in. Like I love Naruto like so much, but I would personally never recommend it to someone as their first anime, because who's like that emotion came after watching 700 episodes and like kind of nostalgia of going through. Full Metal is also a little bit long, not as long, but it's a long anime relatively. It's like 70 episodes or something. And there's so much they put into it, which is amazing after the fact. But I had to be in a certain mindset going in for me to appreciate what was happening. So I'll put something more that's like 20 episodes or 12 episodes, really short stuff, maybe a slice of life that people can connect with and make more sense of, or even a movie. Personally, I didn't mention this before, but my favorite anime, if it was a movie, is called The Silent Voice. Have you heard of it?
Is that about the wolf people?
No, that's Princess Mononoke.
That's a great. Studio Ghibli. Before we finish, we gotta talk about Studio Ghibli.
But I was saying, A Silent Voice is a movie, 2-hour movie. It's about a deaf girl and a kid.
I've seen it. I saw a little bit of it. I started it. And
I think like the most popular one you're gonna get is Your Name, but I personally think A Silent Voice is better because it's more indicative of like real life, like depression, like harassment, and also like going through grief and things like that. All these different stages of emotion. And also, it does a really good job highlighting physical disabilities and how they have to go through the world. So like I would recommend something like that, or depending on the person. Fullmetal is a really good anime. I personally think it's really really overhyped.
Okay. I did want to. So my thoughts on Full Metal Alchemist. The reason I like it is the tale of two brothers. First of all, inside joke. If you're in this office and something has not fallen, inside joke to Noor, Rehan, to all these things. We have so much stuff in this place. Stuff is always moving. Alhamdulillah. So Full Metal Alchemist I like because it's a tale of two brothers on a journey to get. You'll see it. It's about a family. It's a very strong family-oriented story, and it's very, very sciencey. Like with alchemy and agnosticism, atheism, the 7 deadly sins. So Full Metal Alchemist, I really liked. I actually would go back and like to watch it. My Hero Academia is something that's contemporary. Is it ongoing still?
Yes, the 4th season finished recently, and they have movies as well that are canon, but the 5th season is yet to come out. So really good show.
Okay.
Sure. But again, that's another example of like you. I appreciate like how you like those things. Very shonen based values, but it depends on the person you're talking to. Yeah. Like I wouldn't throw them into like. It also depends on like understanding like the amount of fan service you're used to, the amount of over the top stuff that goes on in anime, the amount of like crazy things that you just have to write off as like, oh, okay, that happened. Like appreciating that fact, especially when you're recommending it to girls. I feel like anime is not just for guys, and when girls see it, they're just like, what are these guys fighting over nothing? Full Metal is a little bit different, but it's very male oriented. It's a lot cleaner than most other anime though, so that's a plus. But yeah.
Perfect. And Naruto. Speaking of Naruto, One Piece I never really got into. I know a lot of people.
I just started One Piece.
Like, it's so long. I don't like to start long stuff.
I'm at like 110.
I am going to consider Naruto again because now that with Boruto, there's a lot of parenting stuff that's now in an anime. This is literally an anime that has been the most watched anime is not Dragon Ball Z. It's actually now Naruto. Naruto is actually the most watched thing across the planet. Like it literally. I even think about everything that happened with Akatsuki. Literally, like the War on Terror. Like. World events influence what was happening in Naruto.
Yeah.
Like it's it goes from a story of a boy in a village trying to become like the leader to world politics to parenting now with Boruto and his kids, and literally the writer wants to take a break but the fans don't want him to and, but moving on to if you want to start in a film, Studio Ghibli films. If you have HBO Max or anywhere, literally have you seen Spirited Away?
I had a while ago. I'm on a train to rewatch all these stuff. So
I want to mention to anyone out there in our Muslim audience watching. I watched it with my son just the other day. Spirited Away actually depicts Jinn kingdom and spirits pretty accurately, pretty well. Actually, uninhabited places and stuff. Check it out. It's a story about growth and being brave, and about a little girl whose parents she gets trapped in this world and she has to work hard, and she works hard to get out of the situation. It's a story of growth and awesomeness. Princess Mononoke.
Beautiful film.
Did you know that Breath of the Wild is based off that movie?
The game.
The video game.
I did not know that.
Think about it. Link as an archer, the watercolor aesthetic. Princess Mononoke and Breath of the Wild have a lot in common.
I can see that.
And
I don't know if like they're. No, I wouldn't go as far as say it's based off, unless you have actual like really hard evidence. But I can see the connections there. Because there's common themes in a lot of other things. I'm sure there's.
Yeah, but like you're right. I wouldn't say loosely based off it. And then I just saw this movie with my son, Grave of the Fireflies. Have you seen it?
I've heard of it. I've not seen it.
It's sad, but it's actually based on a true story of World War II.
Siblings, right?
Yeah, about like a brother and a sister.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is something that'll make you think about war in general, about like carpet bombing and stuff like that, and literally how it's a story of a brother and a sister. And now I'm gonna get to my picks, but again, I want to get you to type yours. But before I just talk about my picks, Yousuf, what would you say are your top 2 or top 1 pick for someone who's into anime or something that you like?
Is this someone who I want to like recommend anime to for the first time?
Yes, first and one that you like.
This is one that I like a lot, and I think people could watch it as well. Is a Violet Evergarden. I think it's a very beautiful Evergarden. Okay. It's on Netflix. Beautifully made art styles, the storyline is amazing, very emotional. Episode 10 and 11, look out for those. But I just think it's amazing. Yeah.
See, the thing is, I had this conversation with my friend Hafiz Hassan as well too. Once you watch a lot of anime, you have a particular taste.
That's true.
Like my older sister's like this too. Like, for example, my top picks are Cowboy Bebop. That a lot of people consider like the holy grail of anime.
Yeah.
Then Samurai Champloo.
I started that too. It seems really good.
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't
historic
watched it.
anime. It's based in era. It's pretty cool. I liked it too. It's about two samurai who are trying to kill each other, but they take a wager and they're like, not until this journey is done.
With
And
the
they're
girl,
traveling through historic era Japan, and it's interesting. It's one of like a samurai who's classically trained and very formal, and there's one who's very much like off the cusp.
Yeah.
Two different styles, and they're super like accomplished, but the first time they met someone was their match, but they cannot. So it's interesting. That's Samurai Champloo. Trigon is also some of the same team that wrote Cowboy Bebop. It's an early anime. It's like not really comedy, not really. It's like a space western.
It's the mecha anime, I think.
No, Trigon is Vash the Stampede, red tall guy and blonde hair.
Okay.
It's early.
I haven't seen it, but I may have seen like covers.
And the last one I have, a top 4, is Darker Than Black.
I haven't heard of that one.
Darker Than Black is actually about contractors and what would happen on Earth if people had superpowers like X-Men. But if they're it's a dark anime called Darker Than Black.
Darker Than Black. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, and for more new age stuff, I would say if you want to shonen anime, Jujutsu Kaisen is amazing. I love that show.
How do you even spell that? I don't
even know. Jujutsu, Jujutsu, like Jujutsu.
Okay.
And then Kaisen. Kaisen. It's a lot like Naruto. The animation is absolutely beautiful. Intros and outros are amazing too. I pay particular attention to how they make the intros and outros. The fights are amazing. The story is great. I think that's like literally top anime of the year already.
Really?
And it's only one season's been out.
Okay. The final thing. Okay, keep asking. Attack on Titan.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. How could we not talk about this anime that has swept the world by storm?
Yeah, definitely.
This is the most watched animated thing since The Simpsons. Like Attack on Titan is literally like I have not watched the last two episodes, but I'm watching it with my wife.
No, this new season is off the charts.
Dude,
and they're doing something different than most other animes have done.
Each season, first of all, it makes you think about war differently. It makes you think about children being brainwashed differently.
Oppression.
It makes you think about oppression,
right,
worldviews. Attack on Titan.
But what is it? Content warning. It's kind of gory.
It's rated R. Like it's gruesome. Like it's
very gruesome.
No, because it's just.
It's not necessarily scary, but it's definitely.
I thought about this, like like the what is that thing where the uncanny valley when people start looking like people. The scariest monster would be the one that looks most human.
Yeah.
Right. And Attack on Titan is basically like it's just a little bit off. Giant humans attacking and eating humans.
Yeah.
Like I want to like it's you have to watch it to believe it. Like like literally there's that meme of like, is anime any good? Okay. Someone sits down to watch an episode and they're like, I don't know, I have to watch the next one. I don't know, I have to watch the next one. I don't know, I have to watch the next one.
You can't just watch one clip. You have to like really get through it. Yeah. Attack on Titan is really cool because the first season gets you really, really hooked. Amazing, super action packed. Second season more like character development. Third season wraps up what's been building up. And then fourth season opens the door to this world that we're just like, whoa, what we didn't even expect to happen in the first 3 seasons. So definitely watch that. It's at 71, I think, right now, or 72 episodes.
Oh, it's really good. It's also on Netflix or HBO or all these places as well, too. So Attack on Titan is one of those that is literally, we have to end off the show on this. I did want to end off just with a little bit of a plug-in. We will eventually, after I finish watching the Justice League with Fies, I'm going to do a little bit of a recap on that. I'm halfway through it. It's a 4-hour ordeal. Been a busy weekend. I know, Yousuf, you've been having a busy weekend too.
Yeah.
You've watched WandaVision, correct?
I have.
Are you going to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I definitely am. I liked WandaVision a lot more at the beginning than the ending because the ending became a little bit cliched in my opinion. I did like the build-up for it, but I've seen some clips of Falcon and Winter Soldier, and it seems really funny, really good development and things like that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, upcoming there will be some Falcon and Winter Soldier stuff on here. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of the Winter Soldier or the Falcon. You can see that shield behind Yousuf. And stay tuned. Sir and I do, there's some content coming up on this channel. Watch the previous video. We're going to do that with Fies. And now that hopefully Yousuf can come by sometime too. Anything you'd like to plug in, Yousuf?
Plug in? No, I've got nothing to plug in. Keep watching this stuff. It seems really cool.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, guys. Peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum.